All right, having just heard from Alexi and all the cool new cars on the market, now we're going to hear about one method of actually having one of these cars without breaking the bank, and that's novated leasing. One Australian provider of novated leasing is Stratton Finance, and joining us to tell us all about it is Stratton's head of sales, Nick Potter. G'day, Nick. Welcome to the Savings Tip Jar.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Nick. As I've mentioned, I think before on this podcast, it's one of the number one questions that I'm asked by friends and family. What is a novated lease? But before we get into that and explaining what it is, and so I can just point them directly to this podcast segment, do you have a savings tip for us?
Yeah, my savings tip would be most people tend to save what's left after spending. And I think smart savers spend what's left after they've done their savings. So my tip would be to automate your savings the moment you're paid. Set up a transfer either from your own bank account or from your employer to help build your savings without thinking about that extra money and living to that temptation of spending what's in your everyday account.
Yeah, good one, Nick. Yes, that's certainly a good one for those that perhaps lack a little bit of discipline and maybe don't trust themselves so much to not spend all of their pay. All right, so getting into this novated lease bizzo. I think it's fair to say when you sort of mention novated leasing, maybe to the everyday punter, their eyes might glaze over a bit and they don't know what you're talking about and they don't want to talk to you anymore for the rest of the day. But for those that are interested in hearing about it and what the benefits are in it for them, can you just give us a general overview of what they are?
Yeah, sure. So a novated lease is a three-way agreement between yourself, your employer, and the leasing company. Lease payments are generally taken from your pre-tax salary, and they're generally packaged. So they can include things like fuel, servicing, registration, your insurance, and that all comes out all in one regular payment. There's no big upfront cost or deposit needed. And at the end of the lease, you've got a few different options, whether you buy the car, upgrade the car, or refinance the vehicle.
Yeah, for sure. Now, without getting too into the nitty gritty of, taxation and all that fun stuff, how can employees stand to benefit from it? Because I understand that not all sectors are equal when it comes to leasing and salary packaging.
Yeah, sure. So for your everyday PAYG or employed person, the tax savings, there's two ways tax is saved. So tax is saved from the deductions that come from your pre-tax income. So you're not paying your marginal tax rate on a portion of that money. Secondary, leases do not attract GST. So there's no GST applicable on the car purchase price or on the running costs in most cases. So there's on the running costs, for example, you're saving 10% all the time, and a portion of that would be paid for in your pre-tax income. On an electric vehicle, for example, these are paid 100% from your pre-tax income. So as provided they're exempt from fringe benefits tax, so anything under sort of $90,000 at the moment could be paid for entirely from your pre-tax salary. So for a person earning around $100,000 per annum, buying a $50,000 electric vehicle, the cost per week net out of pocket would be around that $100 to $105, which looking at a traditional loan, you're probably looking closer to $200 once you're adding in your running costs, insurance, maintenance, tyres and things. So certainly on the electric vehicles, huge savings. And on your traditional vehicles, petrol and diesel, there is also some great savings as well.
Yeah, they sound like they can be quite convenient in that, the novated lease contract will include things like insurance and maybe also maintenance as well. But it's worth highlighting the fact that you don't actually own the car, you're leasing it. So I guess what are the restrictions around that, I guess, with, not having that ownership? I presume you can't go and whack a spoiler on the car because it's not yours, right?
Well, look, you can, at the time of purchase, the car can be modified to your requirements. So certainly if you're wanting a spoiler or a nice set of rims or to upgrade the paintwork or do those sorts of things, it's absolutely fine. But the vehicle itself, it is under a lease. But the vehicle is registered and insured under your name. So it is your responsibility. The lease payments are yours, being made by way of your employer. But it is your car in terms of registration and insurance.
For sure. Yeah, Dom, I think, is looking at a fully sick WRX as we speak to lease. But
I thought he was more of
Nick,
a Hyundai Excel man, but yeah, the WRX is fine. I'll take that too.
the old Excel, or as my former schoolmates called it, the six cell.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Nick, at what stage does it make more sort of financial sense to lease and novated lease a car than, say, a car loan? Are there any particular sort of scenarios where it might be, more beneficial?
Yeah, look, I think anyone who's paying tax will benefit from having a pre-tax deduction. Certainly, people that pay more tax will have a bigger advantage. And as I touched on earlier, if you are buying an electric vehicle, then because these payments are 100% coming from your pre-tax income, you're able to reduce your income by every dollar you spend on the car. So those people, some of those people are getting up to 46, 47 cents in the dollar savings tax-wise. But I think for the average person, as long as you're paying tax, there is some advantage there for you. The best thing to do really would be to look at some quotes side by side and understand what the actual net income to net change to you looks like in your fortnightly or monthly pay and the cost to own that vehicle. As I touched on earlier, the GST savings alone on a vehicle of $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 add up very, very fast, along with the running costs. If you are looking at a non-electric vehicle that does require fuel or diesel and servicing, 10% off these obviously goes a long way to helping you save money as well.
And Nick, as you mentioned at the start, it's a three-way contract, right, involving your employer, right? So I guess for some people, you will need the permission of your employer to go ahead with this. So is it the case that not everyone will be able to sign up to a novated lease if their employer is not up for it?
Yeah, certainly. Look, some employers may not offer it currently, or may not be open to offering it. You will find that a lot of employers in Australia do have an offering, but most employers, when we talk to them at Stratton about coming on board as an employer offering novated leases to their staff, they find that it's quite simple. We handle the onboarding procedure for them. We work with their payroll team to set it up. So it is quite an easy process. So if anyone does want to reach out to their provider or to Stratton, we'd be happy to run through from an employer process what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. Now, back on the sort of car question itself, is there a sort of profile of car? Does it suit maybe like a Euro car that you don't want to hold on to and bear the cost of like 10 years of ownership? Is there a particular sort of car that like stands out above others for novated leases, or is it kind of just like whatever goes?
Look, as I touched on, electrics are obviously very, very popular because you're getting that massive deduction in your tax. Any vehicle really will receive a discount in terms of the way the taxation works for the everyday person. But yeah, if you're looking at turning your vehicles over regularly, you may look at a shorter term, so a 2, 3, 4 year term on a lease, and have those cars constantly being traded over. Make sure you're turning your cars over whilst they are inside manufacturer warranty. The only vehicles that can't be novated leased are utes and things with a payload over a ton. So they're classified as commercial vehicles. So there are certain utes, like some of the Ford Rangers, for example, some of the single cab 4x2 Hiluxes, their payload is over a ton, so they can't be taken on a novated lease. But generally, a novated lease is for anyone on any car, including used vehicles, who wants to tax effectively own a vehicle.
Yeah, good to know. I better get on to HR then and see if they're happy to let me novate lease that WRX that apparently I really want. Although I'm not sure my partner would be up for that. Nick, really appreciate your time on the Savings Tipster podcast. Thanks so much for your insights and telling us all about novated leasing.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers.